Hello everyone, I am Steven Sevillano Rios from Peru. Today, I will tell you how temperature and precipitation can interact to define the species richness in the Andes. Both temperature and precipitation are important factors that define where biodiversity exists on Earth. They are expected to modify the amount of energy available in the systems, and plants and other photosynthetic organisms convert much of the solar energy and water into products, like fruits or seeds that later serve as food to different species like birds. These are byproducts of primary productivity, a proxy of the amount of vegetation in the ecosystem. The Andes are center of high biodiversity. Its high topographic complexity along large latitudinal and altitudinal gradients can strongly modify climatic conditions at local and regional scales, modifying the primary productivity of different areas and producing high alpha and beta diversity. From space, we see that some parts of the Andes are greener than others. Some areas are naturally continuous forests, but in others, continuous forests are uncommon, like in the Peruvian Central Andes. The question is, to what degree are these patterns influenced by climate? Our objective was to examine how temperature and precipitation interact, defining bird diversity in the Andes. We predict that if temperature and precipitation decreases with elevation, species richness would also decrease. If precipitation decreases sharply with elevation, species richness will peak at lower elevation. If precipitation remains constant with elevation, species richness remain relatively constant. Elevation with the greatest precipitation, for example here at middle elevation, will have the greatest species richness. Elevations with the optimal temperature and precipitation will also have the greatest species richness at middle elevations. We examine 16 elevational gradients, 5 in the northern Andes, 6 in the central Andes, and 4 in the southern Andes. Climatic data was collected over 1,000 points on each of the gradients. Our results showed two main patterns. The first one, where species richness decreased with elevations, specifically in human slopes. And in the second, where species richness peak at middle elevation, specifically in the central part of the Andes. When we observe what drives these patterns, we see that temperature is the main driver in human slopes, but the interaction of both temperature and precipitation is most important in drier slopes, here in orange. As we predict, species richness constantly decreases with elevation in most human slopes where both temperature and precipitation also decreases. In drier slopes, however, precipitation increases with the elevation and species richness increased at the middle of the elevation, where climatic conditions are neither hotter and drier or wetter but cold. In conclusion, in human slopes, temperature is the main driver of species richness. Here, precipitation is pretty high, so it's not a limiting factor for many of the species. In drier slope, however, temperature and precipitation interact. Here, precipitation is pretty low, lower than 1,000 millimeters per year, so actually acts as a limiting factor for many of these species. Will be important to test these results at global scale. Thank you.